video, we'll build an image generator using the OpenAI API with Python and React. So basically, we'll request to OpenAI endpoint from Python and build our own custom API using FastAPI, which we'll fetch from React. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'll do is I'll create a Python virtual environment. If you're not familiar with that, you can take a look at one of my past videos on how to create a Python virtual environment. So then I've created a Python virtual environment previously. So I'll just say work on try OpenAI. Then from here, I'll create a requirements.txt file. And inside my requirement.txt, let me open my Visual Studio Code. Okay, these are the dependencies that we need. So before we jump into the dependencies, let's just take a look at the OpenAPI documentation. So from the documentation, we just add into image generation, and from image generation we look into libraries, and the documentation says pip install OpenAI, and we also need FastAPI for this purpose. So I'll just go into FastAPI, is list open FastAPI and OpenAPI. Then I also need python.env to mask my secret keys. So once I do this, I'll head into the terminal and pip install our requirements.txt. So while that executes, all right, so I think I got the correct command there. Okay, so let's see what's up. I think I have a very slow network, so I'll just pause the video while that runs. So we got our installations up and ready. So the next thing I'll do is create some folders to handle the API request in Python. So I'll start by saying make directory. The first one I want to make is inside this same directory. I'll just call that image gen API. All right, so I'll cd into image gen API, and from image gen API I make another directory. Make directory, I'll define my model, and also make dir. Alright, so I've created all the directories I want to create, so let me just expand that a bit. And from here, I just head into my Visual Studio Code, and inside this place, I'll start by creating let's just call that model.py. And model.py, inside model.py, I'll just say from pydantic import base model, and from I'll say from FastAPI import oh no, I think that's just all we need. Pydantic model, that's what we need to do. Then from data class, I love using data classes, so import, instead of using the base model, I just prefer to use, instead I'll just remove that, and I prefer to use the data class instead. So import data class, So basically what data class is going to do for us is it's just going to, you know, make sure that our model is consumable by our prompt. So I'll just say I'll put a decorator here, data class, and I'll come and say class, add description, and in the description class I'll add into say prompt. So what the image generation API takes, if we add into the image generation API here, the endpoint rather, in OpenAI, it says uh, let's just look at Python. This is just a very simple thing, you know, it's just making, all you just have to do is copy the code right here to generate an image, and it creates an image for you. Then it takes a prompt and the number of images you want to generate and the size of the image. Actually, according to the OpenAI documentation, it says it can actually generate only 256 by 256, 512 by 512, and square image actually, but it can't go beyond 1024 pixels. So let's just use that to, let's use this parameter to create the model. So in the model, I'll have my prompt, which is a string, and I'll say that I think I need to declare this as form. So in the end, no, I need it form, and from here I also need the number, which is hand the number of images someone might want to generate. That's an integer, and I'll say from, and again then square. Well, since it's square size, I would just like to call that square size actually. Then I'll, this square size is actually a string, and from. So to get this from, we need to actually import it from FastAPI. From FastAPI, import, oh my god, import form. Okay, so that solves it, and we'll add into our prompt directory. I think the next thing we have to do is just create, yeah, so in the prompt directory I'll just create a new file and I'll call it generate image.py, and inside generate image.py I'll start by importing okay, let's not forget, so in this place we need to actually create our environment variable file. So I'll create that inside the image gen API, that's our project directory. I'll just say .env. So this is just to mask all our secret keys, and I'll head into my dashboard in the documentation, and I'll click my profile icon right here, and I'll say view API keys. And because I can't actually see this, but I'll just create a new secret key and I'll copy that. Well, this is irrelevant because I can actually revoke it at any time. Once I click on revoke, I can revoke the key and create another one. So I'll just copy my API key and add uh, into the environment file and say that API key, what should we call it? I'll just say open AI API underscore API underscore key, and there I'll just copy I'll paste the API key right there, and from here inside the prompt I'll head into generate image.py, and I'll start by saying import OS. We might need OS, and then import OpenAI. No, OpenAI, and of course we need the .env file that we just used, that we just created rather. So I'll just say .env import load underscore .env, and I'll initialize that here, load.env, and that should do it. Okay, all right, so I believe we've installed our dependencies now, and if I head into prompt and I run generate image.py, let's see if nothing happens. Of course, see the prompt, then I'll just say Python generate image.py. I expect that nothing should happen. Wow, that's taking an unbelievable amount of my time. So, well, that's cool. So I'll just head back into my code. So nothing happens. It means so far we don't have any problem. So I'll import. Well, because we need to actually import and import our modules, like the modules we are creating. Like the model right here is a module, and this generate image API is also a module. So what we do is we'll actually, so basically, to be able to see the modules, I'll just import system, and from system I'll say sys dot path dot append to sys dot path, and 0, then plus, I think, if I can remember vividly, but yeah. So don't get yourself worked up. This is just this is something I do a lot, so I kind of like know it off it now. So if not, I would have just browsed it. So from here, I'll import the model. From model.model import, what's our model name? That's description. So import descriptions, and from here I'll just say I'll create a class called image generator, and from there say dev. I'll initialize the class, and well, this, I'll give this string, and right here I'll say self dot API key equals os dot get env. Oh, sorry. So actually, for OpenAI to know that you are actually requesting an API key, you have to start by saying OpenAI dot, let's see if I'll just go back into the documentation and come into I'll come into the image, and okay, so I'll just grab this, and okay, let me just grab this whole code right here. So this is all we need to generate a new image. So I'll go back into this place and, well, I'll create a function, and inside the function I'll just say generate image, and in there I'll have myself and the description, which is actually the model. So that's going to make reference to the model we created in the model.py file. And down here I'll just say try the following, then okay, pass, then accept, sorry, so accept, then pass. Okay, so we want to put some code here. So the code we just got from the OpenAI documentation, I'll paste it here, and I'll tap that to, you know, go in line with Python's indentation rules. So I'll paste that in up here instead, and I'll say self.api key because I may want to use it across several other methods of the class. Then I'll say OpenAI. This is equal to OpenAI dot API underscore key. So this is all we need, right? But then instead of this being the prompt, I'll just say description dot I think prompt, and instead of this being 2, I'll just say description. I just turn this into description dot I think number or something. Sorry, let me grab that again. Description dot n. Okay, so description dot n, and the last one is going to be square size. So this is longer. I'll just grab this. I'll grab these and I'll go back into this place, description.n, and here the size is going to be description dot square size. Okay, so put a comma here. All right, so once that's done, what's next for us to do is, the reason why we've done this is because we just want to be able to send this from you know, from Postman or from any front end or from any fetching code. We want to be able to request this whatever. So what's happening here? It wasn't closed. Okay, all right, so let me just see what's happening here for a bit. All right, so the problem was I had a semicolon here instead of this. All right, so otherwise I would have just, you know, got everything I was supposed to get here. So the linter should have been recommending, or should have recommended what I should have put here. So if anything happens, so I can just say, okay, if there is a problem, return probably something like an error. But I think OpenAI does have a way of managing errors. So let me see. So there's a way to manage errors in OpenAI. Okay, so I found it, and we have API error, but then regardless, we just handle our error our own way, right? So to handle the error, instead I will use JSON response, since what we expect is JSON response that's built uh, into Python. So I'll just call JSON response, and here I'll say status code, status underscore code, and I mean it's built into a FastAPI. I'll just say status underscore code equals 500 error 500, and the content is gonna be equal to a dictionary that's gonna have message, and it's going to be an error code or error generating image, and up here, so it means we need to actually import the JSON response module. So I'll just import that from FastAPI dot response. So from FastAPI dot response, from FastAPI dot response import our JSON response. Okay, so that should be resolved now. All right, so well, this is not getting anything yet, so if we run this code, nothing is still gonna happen yet. If I instantiate this class and I call this method, nothing is gonna happen, because we actually need to provide our API parameter here before we can run this code. Then, and additionally, that means we have to call self.api key. Then additionally, we also have to generate a response, something like a JSON response from this request right here. So to do that, I'll just quickly go and check what that says in the documentation again. I think well, if I can remember vividly, what I just need to do is just do this. Just say that self dot image URL. So we need to get an image URL. I would like to track that across board, so I'll just say self dot image URL up here, and that's going to be that should be string or something like a string. Well, let's just call that string. So down here I'll say self.image URL. If I can remember very well, what it gives is the response. Well, this is going to be a response equals this, and the response into data, and well, if we print this, let's just quickly instantiate. Let's quickly use the class. Let's quickly instantiate the class and say generate or something like that. Generate equals image generator. Sorry. Generate equals image generator, and just want to say print. Well, right here we're gonna call print self dot image URL, right? So we want to actually run generate dot generate image, right? That's the method, and here we are going to provide all the necessary well, we might just want to remove this first and see what this is actually returning to us. Replace this with a dog swimming in the river. So Then this we replace with the number of images we want to generate. We just want to make it 1, or let's say 2, so that we can see if like the kind of stuff it's returning to us. And image size, I'll just pick the list image size, which is 256 by 256, and I'll come down here and run generate image. Well, I would like to remove this. No worries, we are still going to return to this, but we just want to test if things are working fine already, and we want to also see what the request we this kind of request would be for us. So let me just minimize this and probably expand a bit. Oh, okay. So I'll just run Python generate image.py again, right? Okay, so that's invalid. I'm getting an error there. I guess it's because we are missing a comma. We'll run that again. So let's see what happens. Alright, so we are getting an error again. So instead of FastAPI.response, it's going to be FastAPI.responses. So I'll pause the video and run the code again. Alright, let me run the code and see. So I'll pause the video while the code runs. Alright, so here's what we got. We got a URL parameter, dictionary. It's a JSON object actually. So if what we just need there is the URL. So if I copy this URL now, for instance, and I go into the browser and I search the URL, it's going to give me an image. So when I paste it here, it gives me 256 by 256 image of a dog swimming. Okay, so cool, right? That's what we need. And inside our code, I'll just return it to how it was. So since we now know that things are working how they should work, all right, thanks to Ctrl Z. And so, but this is going to be responses and not response. So it means our code is working already. Okay, let me just comment this out. And well, because of the structure of data we have URLs. So what I'll just do is in some cases we might want to get more than one image, so I'll just iterate through the URL in that JSON object. So I'll just say the new self.image URL equals, then I'll pass that into a list comprehension and say image. Okay, let me just do my trick there for image in image in self.image URL. Okay, that's image underscore URL. Okay, so what we want to get is image into URL. All right, so if that's the case, then we need to return something there. We need to return image. Now we need to return a JSON response, and the JSON response is going to actually be this list right here. So that's going to be status code is status underscore code equals 200, and then the content is equal to the URL, which is now self.image underscore URL, and the message is success. All right, let's just make that success. So I believe this is our API. This is all we need to just to use what we want to use. All right, so let's go into API testing. Let's test this endpoint and see if everything works as expected. But of course, before we can actually test the API endpoint, we need to create the router, right? So inside the right router, I'll create a new file and call it main.py. Then from here, I'll just import whatever we've done earlier. So I'll say from prompt dot think generate image import image, I think image generator. That's what we had. So then from FastAPI, import FastAPI and also API router. Okay, so also from FastAPI dot middleware dot cors, because I love to do this just to mitigate any problem in the future. cors, I think middleware. So then from here I'll say from the same thing. Let me just copy this, this load.env, and paste it in my router. Okay, all right, so from .env import load underscore .env. All right, so from here I'll just start to create my, what is it called, my to create the router. So but then this has to be after this. This is just for the modules to track each other. This is .part.append, this is whatever. It's just for the modules in Python to track each other. It's a way Python modules talk to each other. It just establishes a route for them and how. No, sorry, that was not the intention. I thought we import here. So this is it. This is what we need, and after I'll just paste that there to avoid any problem. Then I'll say app equals API FastAPI initialized, and from there I'll say that my image generator, I'll just call that image gen and equals image generator initialized. And what else do I need to initialize? I need to initialize the router. So I'll say router equals API router initialized, and from here I'll just add some permissions, some CORS permissions. I'll say app dot add dot okay, add underscore middleware, and inside that I'll say CORS middleware, and allow underscore origins, so that's a string, and I'll allow from any origin for now, and allow credentials, underscore credentials, and that's gonna be set to true, and allow underscore methods, and I'll set that to penny, and here allow underscore headers, that's also going to be any. All right, so down here I need to create an API endpoint for the image generator method. So I'll just say app dot add router dot add underscore API underscore route. Then I'll open that, and what I want is I just want API slash generate image, and then comma and endpoint equals image gen dot generate image, and the method is post. I'm moving from here and say app dot include on underscore router, then router. So if to make this runnable from the command line, name underscore so equals main, just to make it an executable. So I'll just say I think UVCon, yeah, I think FastAPI requires us to install UVCon. So let me just browse up pip install UVCon. Yeah, let's see what that gives us. Okay, let's look at the PyPy package. So I just grab this, and well, I'll add that to the requirements.txt, and down here I'll just say oh my god, I'll just say UVCon, think ORN. Then I'll go into the terminal again and run run pip install dash requirements.txt again. While that runs, could not. Okay, so we are not in the folder, so let's run it again. No such file directory exists. We are inside ImageGen API, and what we have is it inside? Okay, it's not inside ImageGen API actually, so it's inside the parent directory. So I'll run that again and it should work. So okay, so while that runs, let's go back into the router and main.py. I'll call UVCon dot run, right? Okay, dot run, and I'll say I think I need to import UVicon somehow. So import UVicon. Okay, so we can use UVicon down here. UVicon.run. So UVicon.run. We have main is app, and the hosts equals 127.0.0.1, and port is, let's run this on port 8000, and we set reload to true. Okay, so let's just give that some arrangement. All right, so if we run main.py, we should have our API working. I'll just copy this API route here and come into the terminal and cd into image gen API. Then I'll also go into router. So router is all we need to run to use this old endpoint we've created. So router, and there and then I'll run python main.py. So okay, we are getting an error that says API object has no API router object has no attribute had API. Okay, so I'll just look at. Alright, so instead of having API routes, we had API router here. So that was the cause of the error. That was a typo. So I'll just run main.py again and see what happens. Oh, I'm getting another. It receives. Oh, sorry about that. It receives API.add API route receives an argument method. Okay, so it's not method, it's actually methods. Let's run it again and see if we don't get an error this time. Okay. Uh, we got an error again. Okay. Right. So it's working now. Instead of having a method, we had instead of having uh port, I think we had ports. Oh, okay. Instead of having host, we had hosts, capital S in here. So that was why our request to run that endpoint was failing. So inside here, it's gonna be a post request, and here it's gonna be local host 8000 slash API generate image, and in the request body, that's going to be raw, and it's going to be JSON, and the JSON is gonna just be a model here. I just copy the model from here. Okay, so I'll copy the model and I'll edit it. Let me go back into Postman, and right here, so we have the prompt, right, which is something like okay, which is something like a trained dog Probably I'm gonna have something like, okay, a dog bathing in, say, in the river, and hen. So n, that's gonna be n, which is an integer. So whatever we like, we can put that into something like, let's just say 3, and put a comma here. We put a comma here, and also this. Okay, so string, the square size. This time around, we want to generate 1024 by 1024. 1024. All right, so let's send a request and see what happens. Okay, detail not found. What's happening? Let me pause the video and just try to debug for a bit. I'm gonna come back and tell you what's up. So sorry, there should have been a trailing slash here, and I'll run that again. See, and this is not it's generate. I'll correct that in here too. Generate image. Let me copy and paste that to be sure everything is fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. So let's send the request again and see what we get. Right, so upon running it, there was an error, and here is what I got: image underscore URL. So instead of passing image underscore URL here, we had done something like this, and it's trying to find our attribute, but it couldn't find it. So instead, it should actually be image underscore URL. Well, I think we are the one. Okay, I think there's been a mix up there. It's not self.image underscore u, it's actually self.image underscore URL. So I think this is where we got it wrong. Image underscore URL. So I'm just gonna run that again and see what else happens. So hopefully this time around we are correct. Alright, so here we're getting 200 OK error. It means our request passes successfully, and we are getting the URL loading into an array. So the next thing we're gonna do is create a React app and consume this API in React, and just load these images once they are generated into our component. All right, so let's get prepared for the React section. All right, so here we are on the React documentation page. So to start a new React app, npx create React app. That's all we need. So we create a React app inside the main parent directory, and I'll paste the code here and just edit the name of the app and call it image generator. Right, okay, so I'll run that, and that could take some time, so I'm just gonna wait. So it says y to proceed. I'll say y proceed. So I'll just pause the video while that actually runs. Oh, sorry, I can't use uppercase to create React app. Okay. All right, so I'm back again with so I've actually created a React app, and here it is. And inside source src, I'm gonna create a new folder and call it components. Right, so it's a component folder, but I want to be able to fetch data. So again, I'll just say fetch fetch then data, and under inside fetch data, I'll create a new file to fetch our API from Python, and I'll call that fetch dot data dot, or let's call that fetch image dot js. Okay, so from this fetch dot image dot js, I'll create a const. Alright, and that's gonna be get. I'll call that get data, and that's equal to, we need three parameters. We need a prompt, we also need a number, probably image number, and we need square size. So that's, so inside this place I'll say var my headers. So we need to set headers, and I'll just create a new header object, and that's going to be headers. Right, so from here I'll say my headers, I'll append, say content hyphen type. That's now that's application dot slash JSON. Then I'll have another variable and call dot raw equals JSON dot stringify, and so we have prompt. So basically it's just what we have inside a Python endpoint that we're going to put here, and that's the prompt, and comma, then n is the number, then the square size. I think that was capital letter, square size, and that's going to be square size. Right, so that'll be all for that, and I'll create another variable and call that request options. So our request options is going to contain the method, method, and that's method is post. It's an array, so the headers is my headers, and the body is raw. What we have up here, that's the body, and down here called redirect. Well, we don't want we actually want it to follow. We want a follow redirect, so I'll just say follow, and here again I'll say return. This function should return fetch the API, and the API is actually just grab that from, let's grab that from Postman. Okay, so the API is actually fetch this API. So all right, so we had h to the p slash localhost. So fetch and request, we have request options. Okay, so dot then, so we are returning a promise, and we have response response is response dot text, and it's a function, then dot we expect a result to be result, then finally dot catch an error. If there is an error, a error, that's console the log error, and error. So this is just our fetch API. So it's gonna return this to us, the API endpoint. So we export default that gets data. Okay, cool. So now we go into our component, and inside the component, what should we do? We just have to create an image generate .js or something like that. So I'll just start by saying image generator.js. Instead, I'll start that with a capital letter. All right. So inside image generator.js, the first thing I want to do is start by importing importing React and some stuff from React rather. So I'll just say import. Well, I'll use ref because just want this to be fast. So I'll use state, and I'll also use, well, I think that's all for now, from React. And again, I need to also get data, import get data from wherever it is, and also I need to start a function. So generate, I'll call that generate image, and oh god, okay. So the first thing I want to do is just create a prompt ref, and I'll say that is use ref. I'll just copy this, I'll grab all this and paste it down here. So instead of having, so this is going to be image num ref, and this is going to be, instead of, that's going to be image size ref. And from here I just go and go straight into my return. Like what I want you to return is wants to actually return it, say diff okay. This should not be, this should be should actually be like this. Okay, sorry, then close the tag, and as I say, the first thing we want to do is create a form. So let's just pause the video while I create my React component. So once we've created the component, we just start by saying that we want to actually create our submit handler. So inside here, I'm just going to say const undo submit, or undo prompt submission or submit or whatever. Then say that is a sync, and I'll pass an event, and yep, open that, and inside there I'll just say that e.prevent default. So what this does is, so once I just, you know, sorry about that. So once I just, submit, I just want to say console, or let's say alert submitted instead of this. So inside the air, okay, so inside air, I don't know why that's popping up. So inside here, I'll just say what I want to see is not a lot. I want to see under prompt submit, so that when I click this, I can just supply anything here. So when I click these and I just get, I don't get anything, it's not going to reload, it's just going to stay there like that. So then I'll just, let me comment this out, and the next thing I want to do is that I want to call the fetch, the post fetch post that we wrote earlier. So I'll just say const inside this function image URL. So we want to get an image URL. I'm gonna say await. I'll say get data into our prompt. So we have prompt prompt ref dot current. So we want to track the value of that, the value, and the next thing is image numRef dot current and dot value, and the last one is image size dot current and dot value. Okay, so after this, well, I'm just gonna console.log something. So but then we expect how to generate the URL, and so the URL is going to be json dot parse, because when we return this response, it's actually going to give us a string, so we are going to pass it into the JSON format. And here we have image URL, and we want to get the URL of each image. So const, so we also want to get a message returned whenever we make a request. So I have json.parse, and that's into image URL, and that's outside that we are gonna have the message. All right, that's what we have for the API. Okay, so I haven't done that. We can now set state. So up here, I'm just gonna do something like set image URL, something like that. So I'll say const uh, image URL, and here I'll just say set as let me use URI. Have used URL already. Set image URI, and here I'll have use state. So use state is we expect something like an array. We expect an array actually. So from here I'll just say set then I also want to set the status message. I also want to set the status message, but then so I'll just say set sorry so I'll say const status message and set status message, and that's going to be use state, and that should be string. Okay, so down here I'll just call set status message, and that'll be message, and also I'll set image URI, and that's going to be URL. Right. Okay, so let's just insert everything here into a try block. So I'll just do this, and okay, so this is gonna be inside the try. Sorry, this is gonna be try, and to the try, you're gonna catch the error. Um, Catch error and set. So maybe we just console.log the log error. Alright, then we are also going to console.log log. Well, can we get a status message here? Yeah, so we're also gonna get status message, which we have actually passed into a state here. Okay, so we are getting there. So I'm just gonna do some kind of tweaking, and well, down here we now have on submit. This is what we want to get, but then instead of using input here, I want to change this to I want to change it to a select field. So I'll just come up here and have my my image size array. So I'll just say const image sizes, image sizes equals use state, and from use state that's going to be 256 by 256. Then so to make this work, I'll just pass in the prompt. So the ref I want this to track is ref, and the ref is prompt. That's the prompt ref, if I'm correct, and this the ref is image num ref, and for this, which is actually the I've created the select field here. So the ref it's tracking is actually the image size, image size ref, I think. Yeah. So we're tracking, this is tracking the image size ref, and we are going to map through the this array, this array here. Oh, oh, sorry about that. So we map through the array up there, and here's what we're gonna do. Let's come down and say that the option, we create an option. So we create an option, and inside the option we are going to have a default value, which is actually just going to stay there as a placeholder, equals default. So that's going to be disabled. All right, so inside this place we're going to have select an image size. Okay, let's just use 2. All right, so down here I'll just map through image sizes. So image sizes dot map, and inside it I will have, so I want to track the key, so sizes comma index. So that's going to give us this, and those are going to be inside options, and this is going to be option. Okay, so inside the option we are going to have key, and the key is index, and outside this we're going to have the sizes. Yep, so we should have everything loading fine now. So let's see, when we submit, we actually expect to get, well, we want to console.log URL. I don't want to console.log the image URL right now. I can't do that because that's actually inside the function, and it's going to, I don't want the state to lag. So let's try it. So I'll just do something briefly. I have a CSS code I've written somewhere. I'll just grab that and put it inside my CSS file. So I got my CSS code right in here. There's nothing much I'm doing here. It's just that I just got a CSS for a spinner, and that's it. When the app is still loading the component, so inside here I'll just go right into this place, and okay, we have, okay, so I'm just gonna just send a prompt, then inspect. Okay, so I'll just ignore the warnings there. So I'll send a prompt, a man with a candy, and a number of images. I'll just generate two, and I'll leave it at 256 by 256, and I'll hit generate. Let's see what that gets us. All right, so we have the URLs here coming back to us. So what further do we need to do, or what do we need to do further? I just need to add some more logic here. For instance, I need to pass something like it's loading. When a component loads, I want to be able to track each of the images. I want to be able to see each of the images in the component, and also track when the component has actually fetched the data successfully. So what I'll do for that is that up here I'll add some more state and say const, and inside this I'll say is loading, then comma set is loading, and that equals use state. Well, that it's loading is going to be false to start with, so that inside this place I'll just have set is loading to false before I make the API call. So I'll just set is loading, I'll set it to false, and after this whole thing I'll just say, oh sorry, it should be true to start with, and here after once I fetch, I'll set is loading to false. All right, so then I'll also need to check if the image has already loaded into the UI. So I'm also going to have const is image and set is image. Then I'll go and say use state, and that's false. Okay, yep, I think everything is all right. Okay, so inside there I'll have set is image to true, and before the whole thing I'll have set is image to false. So right here, instead of having, should I have set is loading here, or just put set? No, I think I just need to, okay, all right, doesn't change the fact. So I'll just set is image to true, but before we fetched set is image is gonna be false. All right, so the image has not been loaded into the component here. So once we get this, we are just gonna go into, we will just go into our component, and well, we will just map through the image URLs that we generated earlier. So once we get here, I'll just say that how do I do this? Okay, so I'll just say that if it's loading, well, I want to put everything here into perspective. So sorry about that. So it's gonna be like this. It's loading, if it's loading, I just want you to give me this generate. Otherwise, I don't want to see anything, right? So what I want to see is I want to see this component disabled if it's loading. I mean, it's just the normal React thing, right? Then if also up here I also want to see a spinner, or maybe down here I also want to see a spinner, so I'll just put that in a div and div, right? So a div, I have this and I'll say it's loading. If it's loading, I want to actually have, I want to see our spinner div inside here. So I want to say div, so the div is actually the class name is going to be spin, and well, here I'll just have if is loading and a status message. If status message equals error, I think it's error generating. Let's see what's inside the Python API. What's the error we are returning from the prompt? Okay, so I'll just grab this and put it in there. Well, actually, no, sorry. Okay, yeah. So if the error is this, so I'll just go back into my image generation and I'll say if the error status message is this, then I want to see a div. I want to say div. Things are getting messy here. I want to say div. So I want to see a div with the status message, and the class name is actually error message, and I want to see the status message. Otherwise, just let me just do this. So otherwise, if is image, right, then image URI dot map, and then to that I want to get the image URLs, then index, and I want to return an image tag. Otherwise, this what it does is it returns it should return nothing, right? Okay, before we do this, just for me to get it clearly, I'll just we're still inside this place, inside the map. So inside the map, I want to see, all right, I just put it in an empty container there, an empty tag, and I want to see image image. So an image tag with a src, and the source is actually going to be image. The source is going to be image URLs. Okay, so the source is going to be image URLs, and we're going to have the key. The key is going to be the index, and so I'll just like to convert to string. Sorry, string, and the hold is going to be generated image. Okay, generated. So for this, I'll turn the class name into, the class name is images. Okay, so then after this, I also want to see inside the same tag, I want to say download button. So we have a button, and it says download. That's to download the image, and the key for the button is actually going to be the index. We're getting an error. What's happening? Key. So index. Yep. So let's start then on click. We want to be able to, let's equals something like this. A lot downloaded. Okay, so after all this, it's gonna have something like this. Okay, I think we're cool here, but of course I need to probably write something like a downloader or something to download the image. So right here, after the submit handler, I can just create const download image, and I'll just use the save as package of React. So that's just gonna be URL. So it's gonna take a URL, and so say try and save as into so save as into URL, and the name generated underscore image, or let's just call it generated like that. And after this, we catch an error, and that's error. Open and say console the log error. Okay, so but then how do we install this? I think we are getting, yeah, save has is not defined, so npm, I think npm install save has, something like that. Okay, yeah, I think it's save has. Let me just pause the video so I just get this right. All right, so I got it. npm install save has. So I'll install that into um, so I'll install that here. So while that runs, let's just go into our application. Okay, we can actually run it until it's done. All right, so what does npm say? What does npm say? It says import savers from savers, and let's do what they ask us to do. Up there, I'll just import savers from savers, and let's see if the error message is gone. Yeah, the error message is gone now. I don't know why this is here, but I think something is wrong with my arrangement in the app.css file. So let me check what's wrong with probably because I have this here. Let me just comment this and see what happens. Okay, that's not the important thing. Let's see if I have a typo there or something. I just want to get it to, come to the middle. Okay, let me try this. Right, so probably this, and I'll just grab that again. All right, so I think I got the CSS working now. So the next thing I want to do is just inside the download button, I'll just change this into download image, and it's gonna be image. It's gonna actually be image URLs. It's gonna be image URLs. So I guess that's going to work. All right, so let me see if everything is all right. So this is going to actually download image URLs this way. Just no. Okay, let me just try that and see. Okay, I guess that's not working. Okay, so what's the error now? Download image is not defined. Oh, where is that coming from? Why is download image not defined? Okay, let's just remove that for now and see what's happening. Okay, so uh, I'll just pause the video a bit, sorry, and see what's actually wrong with the whole thing. So I guess we've pasted this, we've actually written this inside the wrong function. So it should be outside of the, yeah, everything should work now. So I changed it to download handler, and I'll copy the name and just put it right here, and the error should be gone now. And download, and that's gonna be image. I'll just break I'll just break it, and that's gonna be image URLs. And once I save that, I think I should have my component working fine. So we have our prompt, we have the number of images, and we have we can select the number of images. So let's just lion drinking water from the river, and the next one, number of images, we're going to generate 2 images. Then I'll pick the lowest for now. So let's generate, and we got our images. So once I click download, oh, somehow download is actually reloading the images. I think there's been a mix-up there. So we have download handler, we have and the prompt submit, and then click. This is what we want to do. Alright, so I think I got where the mistake came from. So I just have to remove this from inside the form tag and place it right outside of the form tag, and I think everything should work that way. So things should work now. Let's see what we have. Okay, so getting this bunch of error keys and everything. So these are things that we can actually resolve later on. I think this is from my browser actually, so I'm gonna ignore that too. And I'm having the image URLs being generated here. So let me just try and see. A lion drinking water by the river, and this time around I want to generate four images, and I'll go 1024 by 1024. Let's see what that gives us. Alright, so I have my 4 images, and each of them can be downloaded from our URL. So I guess, okay, so this is not working still. Have 59 errors. That's ridiculous. Okay, fail to create object on real overload. I think that's a problem with the safe house module. So let me trace that again. Alright, so it turns out save as is not working for this. So I guess I'm just gonna have to do it the whole way, right? I'm just gonna have to, just create something from link equals documents dot create element, and have a, and then Inside here I'm gonna have link.ref, then equals window dot open. So I just wanna open it in a new window, and that's the URL. Okay, so once that's done, I'm just gonna say document dot append document the body, document the body dot append and append child. Oh, append child, oh my god. So document the body dot append child, and in here I'm going to pass link and link dot click. So finally I'll say document. I don't know, you can write these in some kind of hook somewhere. Maybe you just do something like under fetch data, or maybe just create a download image hook somewhere and import it and use it directly here. I'm just doing it for the purpose of the tutorial. So body dot remove. So we have to remove the link after clicking. We have to remove the element we created earlier. So link remove child. All right, so let's see if this actually works. Well, before we go on, let's see. All right, I think everything is all right. So let's just generate the image. Oh, this should be disabled. Generate button should be disabled, but it's not disabled. All right, so I'll just do something inside displays. This should be while image is loading, I want it disabled. Okay, so I'll generate that again. First off, let me see. So what I just want the code to do is open a new tab so that we can download the image manually the way we used to do. Okay, so it's gonna open a new tab. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to do. So let's generate 1000 by 1024 and see. Okay, so it's working fine now. Right. Okay, so we have our images, and if I click this link, it opens each of the image. This is the first link, and the second link goes to this. Okay, so this is the second bird. Right, so everything is working fine now, I think. So if I can generate another prompt and say animals are drinking water together in a big river with a mountain okay, so let's see what this does. All right, so I'm gonna generate 4 images now. Let's see. Okay, so I have 4 images, and it's kind of cartoonish. One of the images cartoonish. It's like an animation. Then the other ones are, well, closer to the real life images that we are familiar with. Okay, so this is 1000 by 24, 1000 by 24. If I want to save this, I can save and give it a name I want here. So that's it guys for this tutorial. So in the next phase we are going to actually because the OpenAI API image generation endpoint actually has endpoint for you know generating variations for each of these images. So for instance, when I generate this image, I just want to have a button that says generate variations here, and I generate variations for this. And also it also has an editing API where you upload a mask and you also upload I think it's explained better here, where you upload a mask. If I go into the images, you upload a mask. Yeah, the image variation is quite simple, but the edit takes a mask which actually has a masked area where where you can actually insert a new object, and it takes an image which is the image you want to edit. So guys, that's it for the tutorial. If you have any question, feel free to ask me in the comment section, and if you like the video, just put a like on it. Also remember to subscribe to my channel, as it's been a long time, but I know I'm gathering momentum, so I'll be posting more as time goes on. Thank you and have a nice day.